Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Thorogood's webcast entitled Qlik for Insurance. My name is Hulse, and I do thank you for taking the time to join us here today. I've been with Thorogood for about 8 years now and am our organization's Qlik capability lead. I've worked with a number of our clients in insurance project areas such as policy reporting, claims reporting, and catastrophe analysis. Joining me today is Alli Hogan, one of our Qlik experts who will be taking us through a few demonstrations and is experienced in working with our customers on areas like underwriting, claims, and surety projects. Now, today we'll be taking you through a number of objectives. The first is talking about Qlik's strengths in catering to a very data-driven insurance industry. Next, we'll want to discuss what the Qlik set of products can bring to your enterprise organization. And finally, we'll conclude with how Qlik can deliver high-value solutions to enterprise customers specifically. From an agenda perspective, we'll start with some information about Thorogood and our experience in the insurance industry. Then we're going to have a deep dive into our four main topics on why our customers have seen success with Qlik. Now, this includes the interactivity of the tool set. We're going to have some demonstrations that highlight that. The agility of Qlik to adapt to your different business needs, and the versatility to create robust applications that deliver value. And finally, a discussion on what makes Qlik great for enterprise organizations. After that, we'll have a wrap-up, and if there's time, we'll answer some questions that come in via the chat panel. Just a reminder to the group here, if you do have any questions that come up during the webcast about Qlik or any of the Qlik set of products, please feel free to drop a note in the chat panel. We have Kelsey standing by here who's going to be collecting questions. We'll either have time to answer some questions at the end of the event, or we'll be following up with you directly after the webcast here today. So a bit about Thorogood. We at Thorogood are a professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics strategies, solutions, and services. And we operate globally. Alli and I are sitting here in the U.S. today, but we have offices here in London, New York, Philadelphia, and Bangalore. More information about Thorogood can easily be found on our website at www.thorogood.com. We have a number of different technology partnerships, but in speaking about our experience today with Qlik, we are a Qlik systems integrator partner and have been aligned with Qlik since 2009. We've delivered over 120 projects to our customers and specialize in the end-to-end integration of connecting Qlik with various different enterprise systems to help companies get the most value out of new and existing data within their organizations. And today we're speaking about insurance markets, but we wanted to highlight the industries and customers that Thorogood works with to deliver business intelligence and analytic solutions. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in the insurance, banking, consumer goods, pharma, and healthcare sectors, and we serve them globally with leveraged teams from our US, UK, and Indian offices. Now, getting to insurance specifically. Now, with our experience with insurance organizations, there are a number of trends that we see in working alongside our customers on why insurance organizations, more so than other industries, need analytics and business intelligence to make better, smarter, and faster decisions. Now, globally, the insurance industry brings in over $4.9 trillion a year, and those numbers are expected to increase year over year. We've seen increasing competitiveness within the market, and that includes merger and acquisition activity of some of the largest organizations and syndicates just within the past few years, some as recently as a few months ago. Now, with that comes the challenge of merging disparate data sources as companies need to integrate systems together. There's also increasing regulatory questions which drive reporting, transparency, and data reliability. Regulations like Solvency II are causing organizations to have to react to these new rules in order to provide smarter, better, faster business intelligence. Now, looking at Thorogood's experience in the insurance industry, there are a number of topic application areas that we've built solutions for within larger areas like claims, underwriting, actuarial, and finance. Now, our experience spans technologies, so specifically we wanted to highlight where we have built Qlik applications that cover these particular areas. Now, Let's talk more about Qlik and the latest technological offerings coming from the organization. There are two big product sets for Qlik at the moment. On the left here, we're highlighting the tried and true Qlikview program, now in version 11.2. Our customers use Qlikview to develop and deploy right-guided analytics for exploration and discovery, and it's going to be featured in our first demo here in a few moments. On the right, we have Qlik Sense, now in the just-released 2.1. It is a next-generation self-service data visualization application. The latest version was just released 2 weeks ago, and we wanted to be sure to highlight some of those newest features that are available in the toolset and potential applications for the insurance industry. But we want to talk about why Qlik is compelling in insurance markets specifically. On the left here, we have a number of benefits of Qlik. Now, as you might be out there evaluating tools, you might have a checklist of items that an enterprise tool should achieve to enable success in your organization. Now, Qlik hits on a large number of must-haves for our enterprise customers, and that includes things like visually driven analytics, blended data sources, and the ability to view applications both on desktop and on mobile devices. Qlikview has a native mobile app, and Qlik Sense was designed to be device agnostic, allowing for dynamic resizing to adapt to any device, whether it be a laptop, a smartphone, a tablet. We'll see some of these things on the left column in the demonstrations today. Now, there are a number of items that we have here on the right side of the screen that highlight some of the differentiators of Qlik for insurance applications. Interactivity, agility, versatility, and again, the enterprise focus. But let's get into some demonstrations. First, we want to talk about the interactivity and the visualization capability with Qlik, and we're going to start out with a demonstration of a claims application that's been built in the Qlikview program. And for that, I'm going to turn it to my colleague, Alli. Alli?
Thanks, Corey. So I'll jump over here to my Qlikview desktop, and I can see here we have a case study on an application we've created for one of our customers. What they wanted to do was combine data sources from various parts of their business. So here we have underwriting, claims, and we have a specific analysis on broker performance. You can see that on the tabs across the top. We also have a summary tab that provides a high-level pulse of our insurance industry as a whole. Here we have some selections I can make. So for the purpose of this demo, we'll focus on U.S. specialty and property. If you're familiar with Qlikview, you'll know that when I select U.S. specialty, my selection is highlighted in green. Any related dimensions appear in white, and then unrelated dimensions are in gray. Here I'll select property. If we're interested, we can also have some more detailed selections by clicking on this checkbox. Here we have catastrophe code, claim status, and some time filters as well. But we'll keep with this for right now. All of these graphs I've updated to show my U.S. specialty property class of business, and I can see some analysis by premium and incurred losses, both over time and by broker. Looking at it by broker, I can see Albert Peterson accounts for a large majority of our premium, but there's also a lot of incurred costs associated with this broker. I'll make this selection right here on the graph, and let's understand a bit more about these incurred losses related to this broker. I'll move over to the Claims tab here, and here we have some analysis by years and then also specifically by month. Looking at this graph, I can see that 2010 was a pretty big year in terms of losses paid, and there's also some losses outstanding. As an insurance company, we'd like to pay off these losses as soon as we can, but really within the first year or two of a catastrophe. So I'd like to understand why we have so many outstanding losses for 2010. I'll make that selection right here on the graph, and then go to a more detailed tab under the breakdown. Here we've used the Qlikview cycle group to easily switch between different types of dimensions within the same graph. Right now I can see incurred losses and outstanding losses by category, but I can easily cycle to see this by specific catastrophes. Here I can see this Italy flood accounted for a large amount of our incurred losses, and we still have a fair amount of outstanding losses related to this catastrophe. I'd like to understand a bit more about the claims that are associated with this catastrophe. So we'll move on to the next more detailed tab here. Here I have a table with all of my catastrophes. Right now this is sorted by outstanding ratio. I'm also interested in just the overall number of outstanding losses, so I can resort this table and see that my Italy flood accounts for almost $800,000 of outstanding losses. Can make that selection right within here. And now what I'd like to do is understand what I can do to close out these claims and pay off these losses. In the Data Export tab here, just have a data dump with various claims and policies that are related to the subset of data that I've selected, so the Italy flood in 2010. And this column easily highlights that one specific claim accounts for all of our outstanding losses. Now I can easily email this or send it to Excel and talk to my broker, Albert Peterson, and understand what we can do to pay off this claim and resolve these outstanding losses. So in this demo, I showed a little bit about how you can gain insight through guided analysis. So you can investigate your insurance data by starting at a high level and then target individual problem areas within a specific category or even catastrophe itself. Can determine the root causes of my problems and then figure out what action items I can take to resolve those problems. Now I'll pass it back to Corey for some key takeaways on this application.
All right, thank you, Alli. So what did we just see? The project that we had done for our client was based off a real experience where they were expanding their Qlik footprint to replace more static reporting processes. Now, the focus was on team members and answering the burning questions to help their business. What claims are outstanding? How are our brokers performing? Now, what did our client learn? That visualizations help. Being our client, like most companies, we're a big proponent of spreadsheets. However, when we add visual analytics into the mix using Qlikview, you can spot trends and anomalies quicker and still get to the detailed grain of information needed to help drive better decisions for your business. And overall, keep it simple. We want to make sure that the business questions are being answered, give a good user interface, and make sure that the community can make the dashboard theirs. We help design the application to give value to executive level members through some basic dashboards and views, and still have to be valuable for analysts and everyone in between to help them derive real value from the data coming out of their enterprise data set. Next, we're going to be speaking about the agility to Qlik, the agility of Qlik. Now, what we have listed here on the screen is a project approach that we've seen our customers have success with on Qlik projects. Because Qlik provides such an agile set of tools, instead of a simple linear approach to requirements, development, and delivery, you can bring agility and iteration into your projects and build stages to ensure that you are understanding and addressing the business goals of a Qlik project. Think about a normal project where, say, you've missed a key piece of data or a required calculation. Usually there's a large upstream and downstream effect that might prevent you from addressing it without major changes and major delays. But because Qlik is such an agile tool, our clients have found real value in being able to quickly pivot to take advantage of new data that comes in, new business insights gained from a pilot stage, and deliver rapidly real integrated value with the business community to deliver a final solution. And when you finally hit the finish line, you can start up iterative feedback to quickly develop and define new objectives that either improve on existing systems, or you take the lessons learned from your current applications to build new application areas. Specifically, one of the things that we think is key with Qlik is the flexibility of your data model. On the screen, we've represented different pieces of data into three different categories. On the left would be ad hoc data, one-time extracts that you might throw away quickly, things like broker data or weather information that's coming in via a spreadsheet or a feed. Now on the right, you have more traditional managed data. These are the robust, stable processes with assured quality, like say your underwriting system or a claims database. Now most likely your organization is working with some form of properly managed data stores, and Qlik works great in connecting and reporting this type of data. But in the middle here, we have what we're calling agile data stores, and we'll talk more about those in a minute. But think about the data that exists within your organization today. How are people currently consuming different types of data? Again, on the left is the ad hoc. Now, normally our customers are analyzing things like the one-time extracts, broker data, in tools like Excel. But with Qlik tools, if you want to pilot a quick mashup between broker data and your claims databases, you can quickly merge those two together in Qlikview to prove value and gain quick insights. Now, talking about one of our customers, a global insurance organization, they were looking to find value in their broker and market data. First, we conducted a proof of concept using the data in the ad hoc space. Give us some extracts and some spreadsheets. We did a simple one-time data load, and within a few hours, we had some basic visualizations and worked with the business community to see if that data view would bring value. This data wasn't in their traditional data warehouse, and pricing out a migration project to bring it into the managed space, it was going to take a long time. So instead of making the business community wait on value that might come from outside sources, we were able to build an agile zone where the broker data could be brought in via Excel files, merged with traditional data warehouses, and value was provided to the business community quickly while another parallel project was kicked off to move the data into the traditional warehouse. You can get data into Qlikview in days or weeks versus having to wait months or years in traditional data warehouses and still have it be robust enough to support enterprise processes. We think it's one of the very key things about Qlik that makes it compelling for enterprise organizations. So the beauty of Qlik is that it can make any data source work. And as your underlying data changes, Qlik products are able to quickly adapt thanks to a very powerful and flexible scripting engine. We want to next talk about versatility for the insurance industry. Now this slide is meant to highlight the spectrum of business intelligence and analytics needs. Think about the users in your business community and the types of tasks and data analysis that they're doing. So we've put it on a scale here with general consumers on the left and more deep dive analysts on the right. Different community users have different needs. Some users just need to be informed and need to monitor data. Other users need details, and still other users need deep dive in analytics to find problem areas to spot deeper analysis than what might be given on a general dashboard. So we help our customers discover their business goals and help them select tool sets to match those goals. Usually when looking at different tool sets, they can only hit on a handful of these functions. Some are better at dashboarding, others are better at predicting. But when you look at Qlik tools, when designed correctly, you can hit on and address many needs of your business community. And hopefully you've seen through the demonstration Alli put together that Qlik can produce interesting dashboards, scorecards, navigation, and exploration to find the root cause of problems. We've even performed a pilot for a customer integrating Qlikview and R together to help them with predictions and regression analysis for forecasting costs moving into the future. Now, one area that Qlik was arguably the weakest in would be structured reporting. You can have a nice report displayed on a screen, but Qlikview was fairly weak at structured detail reporting for export into PDFs and other tool sets. Now, that's changed with the recent acquisition of nPrinting, a third-party tool set that produces Office and PDF-based reporting on your Qlikview applications. So we think this specifically fills the biggest gap in Qlik's functionality. So we're not demonstrating nPrinting today, but if you have any interest in it, please reach out to us via the chat panel and we can work with you to arrange a demonstration. So we're talking here about agility and the ability to serve different business needs. In that first application that Alli showed you in Qlikview, what were we aiming for? Detailed level, someone like an analyst hunting for data, hunting for problems that needed to be addressed. In this second application, we're taking more of an executive focus, particularly on catastrophe-related data for our insurance organization here. At this point, I'm going to turn it back to Alli, who's going to give us our second demonstration. Alli?
Great. Thanks, Corey. So I'll open up Qlik Sense here, and I have my catastrophe dashboard open. If you're less familiar with Qlik Sense, it's a self-service platform with clean visuals and discovery that can tell a story about some of the bigger themes in our data, as Corey mentioned. Interesting to note that Qlik Sense sits on top of the same associative data model that Qlikview utilizes, but you can easily share your story with other people within your organization using the Qlik Sense visuals and storyboard feature. Here's the app overview of my catastrophe dashboard, and I can see my various sheets that I have here. starting at a high overview and then getting into some more details even on specific individual catastrophes. Here I'll open up my catastrophe overview. We can see a variety of different chart types, including bar graphs, block charts, gauges, and a scatter plot. All of these, you can interact with all of these graphs. Here I'll show you some cool features about the scatter plot. So here I can zoom into a specific area of the data that I'm interested. Let's say I'm interested in data in catastrophes that have about 10,000 claims. So just zooming in here using my mouse, I can highlight this specific catastrophe and understand the incurred amount and number of claims related to this catastrophe code. On the scatter plot, Qlik Sense highlights any data points that fall outside of our chart area that we're currently viewing, and I can see that right here on the left, all of these data points, and I can easily drag over to zoom in on that particular data set as well. Once I find an interesting subset of the data that I'm interested in, I can take a snapshot of that just using this picture icon, and then easily share this snapshot with other people in my organization. What I'll show you next is the storyboard feature, which is produced by a bunch of snapshots that we've created based on our Qlik Sense application. So if I go back to my app overview, I can see I have a story here on Hurricane Katrina that we produced based on snapshots from our application. And we'd like to share this story with you to show a bit of analysis that we've done on Hurricane Katrina, a devastating catastrophe, and we'd like to share this with other people in our organization. So here you can see we have the scatter plot that I showed you earlier, and we've highlighted Hurricane Katrina here as a pretty big outlier in terms of the number of claims and also the incurred cost in comparison to other catastrophes. Within the story feature, we have the ability to add additional pictures and text to provide some context outside of the graphs we have. Here we've added some more details around Hurricane Katrina, which impacted around 90,000 miles of the U.S. Specifically, New Orleans, Louisiana, was impacted pretty heavily by this catastrophe. So this happened in August 2005. And as an insurance company, we'd like to close out our claims within 1 year of the catastrophe. So I'm curious to see what our claims outstanding looks like at the end of 2006, about 1 year after Hurricane Katrina. So here we have some analysis on the first year of Hurricane Katrina, and I can see our paid ratio is about 72%, which is pretty low. The largest amount paid was in property, and then the next largest was in marine. But here on the scatter plot, I can see that our paid ratio is very low in marine compared to property, shown here by the size of the dot on this graph. Even though property has the most incurred amount, we've also started to pay off a large majority of those claims, and we aren't doing too well on marine. Here on the bottom graph, I can see that we have a sharp spike in outstanding claims in December of 2005. So I'm interested to understand that a bit more. So filtering on December 2005, you can see we have a very low paid ratio of only less than 20%. And by class of business, I can see that we've started to pay off some of our property claims, but we really haven't made any progress on our marine claims. You can still see we've paid about zero and have a pretty high amount of incurred losses. We can see the uptick in outstanding claims in December 2005, and we know that this is due to the delay in claims being filed due to the number of people impacted by this disaster and the overall scale of everything that happened in this area. Interested to see if there's a specific delay in marine claims getting paid off, and I'm interested to compare Hurricane Katrina to other catastrophes to see if there's something with marine claims or if it's just within this catastrophe. So here we have a page that compares Hurricane Katrina to Hurricane Ike. We can see the paid ratio is about the same, but Hurricane Ike is about 2/3 the size of Katrina based on incurred losses. By class of business, I can see property accounts for the largest amount paid for both of these catastrophes, and marine still has the lowest paid ratio, as shown in this block chart with the darkest red color being more outstanding losses. Now, both Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Ike affected areas in the southern United States, mainly around the Gulf of Mexico. Personally, I'm from the Northeast, so I'm interested to see how these two catastrophes compare to something like Hurricane Sandy that affected the Northeast region of the U.S. Within Qlik Sense, we have the ability to embed sheets from our application into the storyboard. So here we can interact with these various graphs, and I have a selection here where I can type in a specific catastrophe. Like I said, let's focus on Hurricane Sandy. I'll just type in that selection and then confirm my selection, and all of my graphs on the right side here updated. The left I have Hurricane Katrina, and on the right I have Hurricane Sandy, and I can see the relative scale on total incurred losses. By property, by class of business, I can see that property is still the largest amount paid for both of these catastrophes, but I can see that cargo has the lowest paid ratio for Sandy, whereas marine was a bigger problem for Hurricane Katrina. I'm assuming that these differences are based on the geographic differences, geographic areas that were affected by these disasters. So since Hurricane Sandy was more in the Northeast, the cargo business was more affected by the disaster in comparison to Hurricane Katrina. If you're familiar with Qlikview and the comparative analysis, you can see we've created something similar here in Qlik Sense. We've used a new feature in Qlik 2.1, Qlik Sense 2.1, called variables. These variables can be pretty powerful in the Qlikview application, and we're pretty excited about them being implemented in Qlik Sense. On the bottom here, I can scroll to see the relative size of Katrina versus Hurricane Sandy. So I can scroll along the graph here and see the relative size of the outstanding losses for Sandy. I can see the claims for Hurricane Sandy were entered into our system in a much shorter time, right, so directly after the disaster, whereas the claims for Hurricane Katrina took a bit longer to be entered into our system. This is due to the improvement of our claims filing process and some of the lessons that we've learned from analyzing our Hurricane Katrina data. So now, I think this stuff is pretty interesting, and I'd like to share it with some other people within my organization who would also be interested in this type of analysis. I have a few options with that, so I could email them this application itself. They could download Qlik Sense for free and play around with the data themselves. However, people like management or executives might be a bit more interested in just the final results. So I can export this story to PowerPoint. This is a new feature in Qlik Sense 2.1. Allows me to set some settings, and then I can export this to PowerPoint. I can download my presentation right here, and then add some additional commentary and branding. I'll pull up a PowerPoint here that we've created. So you can see this is similar to the story I just showed you, but we've added some of our branding and made it look a bit better. While you can't embed sheets into the PowerPoint from Qlik Sense, you can embed a link to the Qlik Sense application on the Qlik server, or you can embed the Qlik Sense application directly. If you're using Enterprise, it's advised to embed a link to the Qlik Sense server because that will integrate your security, your data level security into the application. So this demo shows that you can extract meetings from some simple and interactive visuals, and there's more options for ad hoc analysis and exploration within Qlik Sense. We're particularly excited about the new Qlik Sense 2.1 and has some really cool features that we're excited to use. Qlik Sense overall puts the discovery tools in the hands of the end users, and then they can easily share their insight with other people within the organization. And now I'll pass it back to Corey, who will talk a little bit more about using Qlik in the enterprise.
All right, thank you very much, Alli. We're getting our PowerPoint deck set back up here. Thank you, Alli, for that demonstration. And we wanted to wrap up the conversation by talking about Qlik in the enterprise specifically. So we love Qlik. We think that they have a very great set of products. However, the big question for our customers are, can you make it work in the enterprise? So while we certainly have experience in building applications, hopefully you've seen some of that through the demonstrations today, one of the main things that we help our enterprise customers with is getting it right when it comes to the expansion and the adoption of Qlik implementations. So we've thrown up here on the screen a few sample questions here on what our enterprise customers think about when it comes to Qlik. When it comes to your applications, you need to think about the business goals, the audience, and how Qlik applications are going to help you deliver on those goals. Pair that with the architectural side and how you can design your data stores to deliver real value but still be flexible enough to adapt to new business needs, new business feeds that come in. We've had projects where we guide customers on designing adaptive master data and extraction processes to build up standard data repositories for future projects. We have also worked on adding in very flexible functionality to build on an already robust front end to let our business users create their own ad hoc pivot tables and custom extracts to deliver data in exactly the right way to derive insight and derive value. So I'll toss it out to our audience. What questions do you have? Drop us a note in the chat panel, and we'll be happy to pick up the conversation with you after today's webcast. One thing we specifically wanted to point out is here we have an example Qlik architecture. Now, this is a simple diagram, and Qlik architectures certainly are not one-size-fits-all, but we wanted to show one example on where our customers have found success creating data layers relevant to Qlik. Now, this flowchart represents the end-to-end process of getting your data from your original data sources into Qlikview. It's broken into two main sections, the data layer represented by the two middle layers there, transform and extract, and then the presentation layer represented by the dashboards that you will be creating. In the data layer, you may have processes in place that extract into optimized QVD files and then data models or Qlik marts, which bring all of that data together in a robust way. You can share various different pieces of master data. You can share fact tables, and they all feed into a very robust application layer where individuals can derive the insights that they want, get the data that they want, but still have the flexibility, and if something's not exactly in their original master data database and they need to bring in their own outside information through flat files, everything can be interconnected in a very robust way, but still properly supported by proper architecture and proper enterprise techniques. Now, what if you're considering Qlik Sense? Well, it's the same structures underneath. And so whether you're considering just Qlikview or Qlik Sense or a dual product strategy, the work that you've put into data models underneath can easily be recycled to match the front-end tool of your choice. Now, this is just a small example of how an architecture might be structured. Our enterprise customers, certainly very complex organizations, and the idea is to build something robust that fits the needs of that business while taking in some general best practices and putting them together in a robust way. So if you're interested to know more, please do drop us a line in the chat panel. Overall, if there are other questions you have about enterprise setups and the way that might work for your organization, again, drop us a line. So this comes to the summary of today's event. Now, what we wanted to do is, hopefully we've shown you today through our claims and catastrophe applications how Qlik caters to a very data-driven insurance industry. We've also shown you some of the offerings of Qlik Sense and Qlikview and what they can potentially bring to the table. Now, finally, there's a lot to consider when looking at Qlik tools for enterprise organizations, so we hope that we've been able to highlight some main points on your journey to help understand what Qlik can bring to your organization. We also wanted to just show briefly how we've been able to help some of our insurance customers in the past. We have a customer that we recently helped them build out a strategy for Qlik and how they can plan and expand their footprint for data growth now that they've recently finished a major acquisition of a competitor. We also have an ongoing user enablement and training program for an insurance client, which is helping them put more power in the hands of the data consumer. Now, if any of the topics here on the screen are of interest to you, again, reach out to us and we'll be happy to engage and discuss further. And we also want to share that there are a number of on-demand videos on our website via our Insights page. We have a number of topics related to both Qlikview and Qlik Sense, and you can also hear and see where our customers are finding success with the Qlik set of tools. And lastly, we just want to put up a schedule of upcoming events. You can register for any of these events listed here. We have some global webcasts coming up, and if you're based in London, an evening briefing coming up in later October. So we do see that we have a few minutes left. We wanted to thank you for joining us today. We did have a couple of questions come in via the chat panel. One of the questions here, what is the difference between end printing and using Qlik Sense export to PDF PowerPoint feature? I guess to answer that, what we see in Qlik Sense is something brand new in 2.1, the ability to export a story out to a PowerPoint, which is a brand new feature, something really cool and interesting. But with end printing is natively attached to Qlikview, and end printing gives a lot more robust options in terms of putting together either something programmatic, something that can cycle through a selection, produce a series of PDFs or PowerPoints that can be programmatically put together. So we think end printing is a pretty robust set that you can get a deep dive into. End printing is currently attached to Qlikview, but will soon be coming to Qlik Sense, and actually what we're seeing in this new release of 2.1 is that some of that end printing functionality is slowly now being integrated into Qlik Sense through this export to PDF option. So we hope that that answered your question there. Another question that we see coming out is, what's new in Qlik Sense 2.1? So Alli was showing some of the things that we showed in 2.1. Alli, you were showing the variables, is that right?
Yep.
And so a brand new feature. Other things that we have are some more benefits in storytelling. So we've got variables, we've got those new features that sit within storytelling, and there's something that we didn't show today, a visual exploration capability that within an individual chart, you're able to do a bit more of a deeper dive into making selections that exist just within an individual chart. We think it's interesting, something if you want a demo of, please contact and help us further with that. All right, we're seeing a couple more questions come up. Can the app be used across multiple platforms? And for example, Internet Explorer, OS, Android, PC. So the answer is whether you're using Qlikview or Qlik Sense. Well, we'll start with each of those, really. Qlik Sense is meant to be device agnostic. So the app that you put together needs to be designed somewhere at first. But the idea behind it is that whatever device you're using, you're able to put things together. It was developed with a touch interface in mind, so whether you're looking at it on Internet Explorer on a desktop or OS or Android on a mobile device, meant to be very touch-focused, where you can go and quickly edit, add in some of your own data, make some changes, and get some insights that you might not otherwise have done. It's obviously a bit easier on a desktop if you have a mouse and keyboard control, but the idea behind Qlik Sense is that it was meant to be used across devices, make it be device agnostic. In Qlikview, the initial builds happen on the desktop, so there is a very powerful desktop program that gives you a lot of functionality. However, when you've deployed to a server environment, they do enable HTML5 mode, and in HTML5 mode you are able to add in some very specific things if you'd like, but it's not as robust, again, as doing it on the desktop in the Qlikview version. So I'm looking at the time here. I think that's all the time that we have to answer questions over the air here today, but we will be following up. We'll stay on the line for a few more minutes, so please drop your questions in on the chat panel. If there's anything else that we can answer, very happy to follow up with the group here after the webcast. So on behalf of myself, Corey, and Alli, we'd like to thank you for attending today, and we wish everyone a great day. Thank you.